Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Big Roost Podcast. I'm your host, John Delaurier, and today I have our guest, Crystal Williams with Lemon Seed Marketing.
Hello.
Crystal, thanks for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. You know, I can talk about branding to a wall, so I'm excited to talk today.
I said this before we hit record, and I've also said this on other recordings. I genuinely believe, based on your background and your knowledge and the way you implement Lemon Seed, that you do have a different and unique approach and an understanding of what home services contractors they really need to do with their marketing. So I'm really excited about today's episode. I think that you need, if you're watching or listening, you need to pay attention to what Crystal's saying, because we're going to talk about some pretty basic things, but your background and the way you implement Lemon Seed is different, and it does actually work. So Crystal, tell me about your background. Tell the audience what's going on. How did we connect? Everything about you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a hashtag trade baby, as I call it. So I come from the trades. My family, my grandfather, my dad, then my brother own a heating and air conditioning and plumbing business here in rural East Texas, if you can't tell from my accent. And we did that my whole life. And when I became a true adult, I went to college, got my degree, and decided I was not going to work in the home service industry. Went to work for our local Coca-Cola bottling company here in Lufkin. It was a wonderful family-ran company. But my brother called me in 2014 and said, Crystal, I am getting ready to really elevate our company, and I need somebody to come on board, help me build our brand, retain, recruit employees, worry about co-op dollars. Like, I just need some support. So are you willing to come work, full-time as a career in the family's business? And so my family has a great relationship. I'm very blessed by that. So I've loved it. We then really hit the ground running. So my brother and I, at the time, we changed distributors and manufacturers during that time after being with one for 45 years. And we launched a new private label equipment. So we did lots of big things together. And I had lots of friends in the industry that were like, hey, Crystal, I love what you're doing. Can you help me organize my brand and all of my marketing, like my advertising? I know I need to advertise, but I don't know how to do it really. And I stay confused. A lot of contractors just stay like, hey, they tell me it's working. I believe it's working. And really, I was tired of living that life of like, why are we not getting leads one minute and we have a ton the next minute? So I just dove in. That's what my degree is in. So I just started diving into the psychology behind home service work. And so Lemon Seed kind of came from that. I was really good friends with a graphic designer. She is phenomenal. She was working really closely with Mick Williams at the time. And so she and I just got together, and my brother, and we built Lemon Seed Marketing. My brother sat as basically like an advisory person. But Emily and I, my partner, she and I just ran with it. And so she now sits as basically our operations, chief operations person. And I'm over here in sales and marketing because I have this wild idea type person. I mean, she's a lot more stable than I am, but extremely talented. And so that's how Lemon Seed was born. We are basically fractional CMOs, or chief marketing officers for companies, but at such an affordable rate to just feel more organized with all of your advertising spend. And how to build your brand. So it's kind of how we got started. And then I randomly met you, John, through Emily May. She's the owner of M&M Roofing here in Lufkin. And quick story about her. So I decided that I want to add roofing to our repertoire here at Lemon Seed of like what we can service. But I was like, man, what makes me unique is that I know the HVAC industry. I know the plumbing industry. I know, so I went to Emily and was like, hey, I would love to do your marketing if you'll teach me a little bit more about roofing. And she goes, you've named off like 10 things that I don't even know how to tell you. And so how about we learn together? So she and I, I have a small ownership with her into her roofing company. And in return, I give sweat equity I do the marketing and the branding for her. And I have learned so much over the last year and some change now about roofing. But she was in a group with you, right? Where y'all were, I call it like a mixed group, if you will, where y'all kind of talk shop, right?
Yeah, it was a mastermind with Dave Sullivan. We were in there for well over a year. Emily May is awesome. And what you two have done together with that brand is amazing. The people need to check it out. M&M Roofing in Lufkin, Texas. Like, you need to understand the difference I mean, we're talking about mascots, like full body, like we're talking about all kinds of different things that have really taken a relatively small, I mean, that business is pretty old, right? It was decades old, and it
Yes.
didn't have a strong brand. And what you guys have done, you and Emily may have done, is really incredible. There's a lot of great branding companies out there, but really taking control of that actual brand.
Well, because you know what I'm passionate about? I'm passionate about implementation, right?
Mhm.
So there are tons of companies that can give you a good design,
Yep.
right? But our designers, Emily's vision, Emily, my partner at Lemon Seed's vision, Emily,
Mhm.
and my vision is it's not just about the logo. That is definitely a fun visual part of it. But how do you actually implement a brand? Like, what do I do with it now that I have this beautiful mascot looking thing? And a lot of dudes are not here for a mascot. They're like, this is crazy. But again, we go back to the psychology of your target market, right? So who are we specifically trying to sell, a roof to? It's very important that they understand, that the contractor understand who they're out there for, and what type of business do they have. When I talk to roofers right now, I'm always like, tell me about your style of business, because there's some styles of businesses that do not know. If you're strictly commercial, you don't have to drive up with a gigantic armadillo on the side of your truck.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to work, right? Or if you do, if you're, I call it storm chasing in a positive way. Like if your vibe is like you hustle around the country to where the storms and things are, again, you're not trying to build a brand. You're trying to be the quickest and the most affordable one with quick door knocking strategies, right? So all of these strategies are different. And so with Emily, operations are what build really good companies, not branding. Branding supports great operators. I learned that myself because I have good branding and I watch operators kill it.
Yep.
By accident. Well, kill it good and bad. So Emily May, for example, from M&M Roofing, she definitely has a go-getter spirit. Mm-hmm. She's a hustler. She is forever looking to what's next while working on what's now. She knows who to surround herself with. She trusts the process. And so if she called me and say, I have this crazy idea right now, her campaign is called Nailed It. And so my team here at Lemon Seed came up with the idea about nail your neighbor. And so we live in the Bible Belt. So she was like, that might be a little too far. Nail your neighbor might be a little too far, because we were doing a referral program, creating a referral program for her. But she trusts the process. She's brave. Puts herself out there a lot. And she also is not afraid to spend money on marketing, which I think that's the majority of contractors. What they really struggle with is, oh my gosh, like I would never spend 10% in marketing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's why I could come into your market and run over the top of you in about 6 months.
Yep.
So you keep spending 2% and let me hope I find a roofer in your market that wants to grow. Not to be too facetious, but the proof is in the pudding that when you marry good operations with good pricing and good marketing, those three legs together, that's a pretty solid stool to be sitting on.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Where we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow.
Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
Yep, it's so true. And when I started my business almost a decade ago, I was spending well over 10% because I knew I wanted to grow. And I think that's the mentality that most home services, they're either coming from production or sales, and they're trying to grow this business, and they're like, well, let's grow the business. They don't really understand the actual ROI on good marketing that's actually implemented well. So I think that's the big part of what you do, is that you show value because there's actually results. Like, why am I spending 10%? Because you're going to get these results. Right. If that's what that operator wants to do. If they want to grow it to a certain level, then spend a certain amount, and it's going to be probably feel uncomfortable in the beginning. Like, I'm spending this much money on these systems and these processes so that I can develop more leads and more business. There's a lot to go in it, because there's a lot of marketers out there or I call them, marketing agencies out there that don't really provide real ROI. There's not really a return on investment from that marketing spend. So let's talk about what brand is and what it's not, and kind of more diving deep into that, like how specifically at M&M, that was what's so impressive to me. How do you implement that brand for her business? Because there's several different things that you guys do that's really, really fun, really cool, and really actually works.
Yeah. So, I have this philosophy at Lemon Seed that 2 + 2 = 5, right? So meaning individually marketing tactics don't always work independently, but when you combine them all together. So I use a cake analogy as well. So like if you ask me for a piece of German chocolate cake, I don't give you an egg, right? I don't give you the German chocolate bar.
Yep.
I give you all the ingredients combined together and cooked at the right temperature and frosted and given to you correctly, right? So that's the way marketing works. We have all these little bits and pieces of ingredients that independently, nobody wants to eat a cup of flour, but when you combine everything together and it's a rock star, right? It's an heirloom, right? For the family. And so it's the same way that marketing works. So branding is a part of that strategy because it is not immediate ROI. So what we did for M&M Roofing, we built a new brand. So Emily and her team built Emily at Lemon Seed built a cool new brand. M&M, she had acquired the company M&M. And that the M and the M have nothing to do with her, but it has lots of brand longevity in the market, the name recognition.
Yep.
So we knew we didn't want to take a very strong, like totally revamp that. So we just leaned into it. We created Roofus, the armadillo. And the back of the armadillo is actually roofing shingles. So super creative ways to work in those elements of roofing. We also knew that an armadillo would definitely resonate with East Texas. And we're a friendly armadillo, right? We don't look scary. We don't have blood dripping from our teeth. We're a friendly armadillo that's carrying a nail gun. And so we created him because we knew to stand out in this market, we had to do something that no other roofing company was doing. And here in our pretty rural area, but still, we launched this mascot. And it's kind of a signature thing for Crystal because I have several companies with mascots, but we launched this thing using billboard strategy. We also launched a pretty expensive and extensive social media campaigns. We launched radio and we launched community support. So again, this is what I say about Emily being an adopter. She immediately identified someone on her team that could go out into the community and take Roofus. And so now they are at everything. Every time you turn around, you are seeing Roofus the armadillo. He is at kids programs. He's at festivals and fairs. And he's on social media. He has his own vibe. So Roofus, he has lots of idiosyncrasies. So I took from the playbook that Disney uses on how their characters remain so like magical, right? So bear with me here. But what's so magical about Disney World is there's literally characters in your face that are speaking. If you notice, they never break character. They have a signature autograph. They have set times to meet them. They have a pose that they do. So we took a piece out of that playbook and we applied it to Roofus. So Roofus is constantly reiterating M&M Roofing everywhere he goes. So M&M Roofing is on Roofus. So it's very evident on his cowboy hat. So it's very evident that he's there. And so again, though, I want to be clear. I had to tell Emily, and she knew this because she's a risk taker. But we probably did not sell one roof for the first 6 or 7 months specifically because we did all of this community support. We knew we had set clear expectations with ourselves that what we were doing was building something. We were in a building phase. So you don't go move into a house the minute the slab is poured, right? You got to wait on the walls and, it's a process. And so, but you don't get mad that you can't live in the house as soon as the foundation is poured. You're not like, my gosh, why am I not immediately able to move in? Because you have expectations that you're building. So it's the same thing with a brand. So my biggest piece of encouragement for roofers especially is to earn, because that's how we have to start looking at it, the business from the residential side of roofing, from homeowners, for people to trust us. We have to start now so that when they do need a roof, whether it's next week, next month, 2 years, 5 years from now, they think of us. So think about how much work that is of us constantly having branding in place. So it's a long-term strategy that you just have to set your expectations clearly. So you can see now that if you have a very generic name or logo or no character or icon, it just blends in with everything else, how much harder you have to work, because there's nothing about you that's unique or different.
It's totally true. We talk about the Triangle Club a lot. I'm guilty of that. Everybody has a roof on their logo, and it's usually navy blue or red or black. Maybe it's green. And you're very forgettable in that type of brand. I mean, just from the logo perspective and the color palette perspective, there's nothing really unique about you to help someone remember that you were there. And you're exactly right. It takes a lot of time for a city town to actually remember this brand, and you have to see that brand and that mascot and the logos and those trucks and those people with the polo shirts and all that. You have to see that lots and lots of time, so that when there is a need for the service, because the sales cycle in roofing is very long, just like HVAC, like replacement HVAC is a lot of years. You've got to continually invest in that, and you can't quit. You got to stay the course.
Yes. And that's really what I see literally every single day. Emily and I talk about this quite often, both Emily's, honestly. I deal with contractors every day that are just like, okay, so I'm a good technician. I'm a good roofer. Like, I know what I'm doing. So let the leads start rolling in. And what happens is you start realizing, like, man, what got me to, like, $500,000 because I was shaking hands and kissing babies and petting dogs. Like, you were just like being a good person. You did good work. It got you here, but it will not get you to the higher end side. Not every company has to spend 10% in marketing. Some are lucky they can spend 5 or 6% and still get good growth. It truly depends on the market. Truly, it does. But really, what I see the majority of the time is contractors set themselves up for failure by not ever planning and budgeting and committing to marketing. They consider it like, well, I do marketing. And what does that mean? Well, I have a website. Okay. A website is like a really pretty girl, but you keep her in the house. She's not allowed to go out anywhere, right? So like do you sit down on a Sunday morning with a good cup of coffee, before church or whatever, and go scroll and peruse roofing websites? No.
Nobody does.
No one. So if you have a beautiful website, that's great. But the website actually has to have tools in it that are appealing to people that are searching for your business. So if I sit down today and a hailstorm comes through and I go search roofing replacement, or my insurance company says, hey, you got to get a new roof. I'm not insuring your house. Your roof is too old. And I go search. I need to know that my website is going to answer their search questions. So I have to deploy SEO, and aggressively, if you ask me, and strongly. Now, where we start diversifying our thoughts and ideas, SEO and website building is one of my core pieces. I don't care where you live. That has to be a part of what you do. Social media, community engagement. I don't care where you live. That has to be a part of what you do. But then you can kind of get, and I choose to call it fun. Some of you may not, but then the opportunities are endless, right? Then we can take what our budget is and go say, okay, do we want to really own the radio market? Is it traditional radio? Is it digital radio? What if we get in cinema? So if I live in a town that has several movie theaters, I can actually get a really good commercial made, spend $5,000-$10,000. Sounds like a lot, but spend that one time, and that video lasts me for 2 years, where I run before every major movie that's played in my local theaters. Just a good, wholesome video, right? Do I want to launch, it's really cool, maybe yard sign campaign? Do I want to wrap all of my vehicles, but maybe wrap one specifically for a nonprofit that I want to focus on? Like, there's just so many cool things that we can do. Is it direct mail? Is it some outbounding, like outbound dialing? Like, there's a ton of things that we can then put our money towards. I just think we missed the boat on the foundational side of, we have to have something different about us and our brand. And you're right. Like, if you come to me and say, I think my brand is pretty cool, and I open it up and it's a roof with 2 initials, it's not cool. It's not. And does everyone know you? Maybe. Everyone is a strong word. Unfortunately, we think we are a lot more important than we actually are. I did have a contractor the other day that was doing about $2.5 million. So again, nothing to shake a stick at in my little East Texas terminology. So I'm not hating on the fact that he was doing $2.5 million. Like, good for him. I was proud for him. but he literally tells me everyone knows me and everyone uses me. So I said, sir, no disrespect. If everyone knew you and everyone was using you, I promise after 20 years in business, you'd be doing more than $2.5 million.
Yep.
You would be doing
one
more.
call to your supply house and you understand how many tens of millions of dollars of roofing's happening every single year. So you gotta be realistic. And I know lots of people they think that it's just like shooting fish in a barrel, but they never have the money, or there's always some kind of struggle with leads. Yeah, it's very true. I kind of want to back up to a couple different things. One is you talked about the ingredients for the chocolate cake. What does lemon seed do, and what does lemon seed not do with marketing?
Yeah, so the easiest thing for me to start with is I'm actually not any of your vendors. So like, I'm not a digital expert in the sense of I'm not going to be the one that runs your ads, builds your website, or does your SEO. What I am is I work for you. And so I hold that vendor, whichever vendor we choose, and we work with lots of them. Whoever your digital vendor is, we work alongside you to compare your numbers of what's working. So, if you're using ProLine, we can look in there and say what's working for you. And we can turn around and then be able to effectively communicate with that digital vendor to say, hey, I love that you're telling me how many clicks and impressions and all the alphabet soup that you gave me on this haul, but unfortunately, none of it is converting.
Yep.
And so how can we pivot? And so Lemon Seed is here to guide you through those conversations, when to pivot, is this actually working, and also to be your creative arm. So instead of just saying, 0% financing for, 12 months, we help you come up with creative, like nailed it campaigns, or Emily ran a campaign for a while called Quit Streaking. And like, are there streakers in your neighborhood? Like, we ran this whole campaign around those. And so we're the creative side. So we're not the digital side. Same thing with like, if we want to launch direct mail, we are not the direct mail vendor. We go find the right one that has the right strategy for what we're trying to accomplish. So all of these marketing partners, right? You've got all the digital companies, you've got all the email companies, all of those. Honestly, there's tons of great ones. It's really hard to pick a bad vendor. I'm going to be honest with you. What isn't always the right fit for you independently as a contractor is their secret sauce.
Yep.
So a lot of companies are really good at a rural market or a metro. They're very rarely good at both.
Yep.
So we get to know that. Also, like, once I understand your team, so is your team good at conversion? So like right now, I'm working on some cool stuff for maintenance style plans, reoccurring revenue maintenance style plans for roofing companies. So some really cool ideas there. My biggest issue, it's not going to be the marketing. We can make it sound cool and look cool, and we can put it on your website and we can put it on social media. But can your team member that's in the home actually build the value for the homeowner?
Yep.
Does he have enough time? Like how you are structured? Is it need to be sold by the CSR that answers the phone? Does it need to be sold by the technician or your roofer that's going to the home? Like, how do we do that? So I'm more concerned about the operational efficiency side of it to see, there's a lot of great ideas theoretically, but can you as a company actually implement? Some of you can and some of you can't. It's just a style of business. And so I think Lemon Seed is really good at evaluating each individual business as its own company. So we don't compare you to others. We look at where your strengths are, honestly, what your budget is. So, yesterday, again, I was dealing with a client that was like, I really want to do 10%. I just can't. Can I ramp up to it? So we're like, yes. So we're going to do 5% spend. And, we just kind of were starting to build him up so that in next year, when he's ready to be at full 10%, he has this beautiful new brand, a goal of how he's going to get there. But I'll tell you, John, you know what my biggest struggle is? Contractors not knowing their numbers.
Yep. I was going to touch on that right now because what the struggle I'm sure you see every single day is like, I don't have the money. Okay, well, why don't you have the money? Because you're not actually pricing your jobs correctly. And so then you don't actually know your profit margin for each job, and you don't know your overhead for each month. And then they're like, I don't have X amount of money. Like you talked about the $2.5 million guy. Well, if he's doing 10%, that's $250,000. And that sounds like a crazy amount of money to a lot of people. But if they know their numbers and the profit margins there, they will have that money in their bank account to actually invest into marketing and to implement it the right way. It's so true. Like we see that. I mean, Emily May in our mastermind group, we talked about that all the time. It was everyone we talked to did not know their numbers, or the people that are trying to learn are trying to fine tune and get those numbers exactly the way they're supposed to be, so that our sales still are strong, but we have the right profit margin for each one of the roofs that we sell.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, so like we feed off of those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So a true marketing company should be seeking your input daily. So, I live in East Texas, right? So I can work with any roofer anywhere in the country. But what happens is I'm not a replacement for your attention.
Yeah.
I say this a lot. We are definitely an additive to your marketing, not a supplement. Because I believe that there has to be a local touch and feel. So to do that, like I can't just run buck wild. I need your input. Like, hey, so streaking, let's talk about this campaign that Emily had. So if streaking, when we pitched that to her, she was like, I love this. It is disruptive. But she and I both did have a serious conversation. Like, we're in the Bible Belt. Do we feel like this is going to have negative connotations? So at the end, we decided, no, it's pretty laid back and not over the line. But would not know that if she and I did not live in the same area.
Yep.
I would have to have open and honest conversations with my contractor. And so we literally become attached at the hip. We do the doing of the graphic design for you and the posting on your social media for you. We do all of those things. But at the end of the day, you'll need to sign a new contract with a new digital partner. It's your partner. We're just working with you. Think of us as literally another person in your office.
Yep.
And so if you don't have the money to hire a full-time marketing person, or to be honest, they're not going to have the experience that my team has in home services. So that's another thing. Like, you're getting a team of 4 people with literally 20 times the experience, because we deal with contractors day in and day out, versus hiring someone local. So, with Emily, what we're doing right now is we're hiring someone local eventually that all they do is represent the brand in the market. So when I first went to work for my brother's company, I was a brand ambassador, basically. I just went out into our local communities and pet dogs, kiss babies, shake hands. And I took our mascot, Sailor Mac, with me. We gave out T-shirts and koozies and cookbooks that we had done. I mean, all kinds of things, because all I'm trying to do is stick out in your head above every other heating and air conditioning and plumbing company. And now, my sister and brother-in-law, we opened a pest control company.
Nice.
You can go check it out. So it's called Spot On Pest Control. And our mascot is a ladybug named Johnny, because it's Johnny on the
spot.
And my grandfather's name was Johnny. So it gave us a whole brand direction. So we were shocking people, because we bought a very small pest control company here. And then we basically dropped about $75,000 in the first 6 months we built out a mascot. We built out a brand. We wrapped 3 trucks. We bought uniforms. We reskinned a website before we took the very first fall.
Yep.
Because I'm like, listen here, I'm just going to jump 6 months. And people were like, where did y'all come from? And I'm like, man, about 3 months of us just dreaming, building, doing. And listen, we were writing checks. And when I say we, I really mean my brother. He was writing checks of things without $1 coming in, because that's how much we trust the process. Yep. And so I don't ask my contractors to do anything that we haven't had to do ourselves.
I love it.
But it is a little different, because you almost have to consider Lemon Seed like a coach and training program. Yep. Because we're not a lead generator, but we do make you more efficient, more creative. We make it more, we are your trusted source of information.
Yep. I love that. People need to replay what you just said, which is because I've done the exact same thing. We've spent nearly $100,000 on our little roofing company to rebrand it before I sold it. And that was in a short period of time, and was before we sold a single thing under the new brand. So people need to understand that you should spend that kind of money, $75,000, $100,000, to grow a brand. If you're going to rebrand and you really believe in the process, it's worth it long run. That's one huge regret I have. Almost a decade of owning the business. I wish that I had thought the things that you're talking about and actually implemented the things you're talking about with the brand and with our marketing strategy way earlier on. And as every year went by, it got harder and harder because we had a larger customer base and a larger reputation, and it was way, way harder because I can barely say my last name, and it was Delarier Roofing, and nobody can spell it, nobody can say it. Don't pick a name or logo that nobody can say or spell in Google, because that doesn't help anyone.
Well, and it's because it's the easy thing to do, right?
Yep.
Like, it's the easy way. And listen, I'll tell you another thing that we see. And Emily deals with this more than I do, Emily here at Lemon Seed. Changing your name is also very risky. And to be honest, it's emotionally draining.
Yes.
Because am I going to pick the right name? Is this the right name? And half the people in your life are going to tell you yes. The other half are going to tell you no.
Yep.
Anything that's risky is normally not always super light. And so contractors get paralysis by analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask way too many people. So if you really want to have a unique brand that helps you stand out, don't ask anyone.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody, pick one trusted advisor, and it's not for them to approve it. It's for them to bounce ideas off.
Yes.
And so set the tone now. Cause I'll be honest, we watch contractors literally ruin really good brand ideas.
Yes.
Because of the fear of two outliers. Somebody might be offended by a squirrel, or they just don't trust the process. And so our most successful rebrands and brand building companies trust the process. They're done normally in 6 to 8 weeks. They pay half down to us. We get the work done. They pay the other half. And we help them do an implementation plan. We help them launch that thing and feel good about it. And then normally they roll right on to ongoing services with Lemon Seed, or we then month after month after month are building out strategies in the future. So how nice is it to not wake up and go, I wonder what I'm doing for marketing today?
Yep.
3 months in advance, we're constantly working on what's next so that you don't miss the National Roofers Day. You don't miss, I didn't do anything for Thanksgiving. I haven't changed my offers. I haven't updated my website. I don't do social media. You know why? Because you're an operator. Your job is to freaking run operations, not be a marketing expert. So I know that contractors need Lemon Seed, but I also understand it is an investment. It's not for everyone. You have to be an aggressive contractor to appreciate what Lemon Seed brings to the table. And if that's not your style, then it's just not your style. But I encourage you to make it your style if you want to grow.
Yep, I totally agree. And I genuinely think that you're exactly right. Your team has a level of experience that there's just not a lot of marketing companies or for anyone in the roofing space specifically. Because I feel like I know a lot of the marketing agencies, and they don't really do what you guys do, and they don't have the experience. They just build a thing for your company, and then that's it. Here, take it. Go do their thing.
So, correct. So what I say is a lot of you have a plan, but most of you don't have a strategy.
That's right.
And the difference is, that you've got, I've got my website vendor. I've got them. I don't need to do anything. But do you know what your strategy actually is with that website provider? So the good news with Lemon Seed, you don't have to leave anybody. You literally bring us who you're working with. And then if my team thinks you need to change vendors, we will show you with data why you need to change. It won't be because we don't like them. We are not tied to any particular FSM. We're not tied to any particular website company. We work with a lot of great ones. We love to make recommendations. But at the end of the day, if what you are doing is working and I can show you that it's working and we can make it even better, that's a win for everybody.
Yes.
It behooves both of us to take what you're doing now and make it work. So you don't have to move everything over to Lemon Seed. There's nowhere to move it to. We just want to make sure that using data through your own FSM, through your own software, whether it's call rail tracking numbers, ProLine, whatever you're using for your CRM, basically your customer management tool, we want to show you where leads are coming from, how they're actually converting, so that we can make educated decisions on when we need to pivot, but also helping you get new customer acquisition on a consistent basis. And then also cultivating the people that you've already earned their trust. So if you put in a roof for someone, how do we then go back and get them to refer us? What if you add other services in the future? You add pest control, you add gutters, you add swimming pools, whatever. We want to have this nice treasure trove of low-hanging fruit where we can launch our maintenance program. Whatever we want to launch, we are keeping those people engaged with us so much, once a month at least, that when we launch new products, new ideas, or ask for referrals, we have a whole raving fan group of people there ready to do it for us.
I love it. I love it. Well, Crystal, thanks again for coming on today.
Of course.
How do people get a hold of you? This is really, really valuable information for anyone in the home service space. So what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So of course we have our website, lemonseedmarketing.com. But if you are just like, hey, I just want to shoot a quick email over, it's hello@lemonseedmarketing.com. And so either of those really get you in touch with Lupita. She works right beside me on getting, scheduling time for us to talk. Our conversations, our discovery calls are completely free. We are really kind of interviewing each other. Do I think you're going to be a match for our strategy? And do you think we're going to be a match for your strategy? We go over pricing. We have fully transparent pricing. There's no hidden things. And I'd love to just show you all the options between rebranding or ongoing services if you love your brand. But those are the two best ways. But listen, I am an open book too. So feel free to email me directly. Crystal, I am spelled with a C. But Crystal@lemonseedmarketing.com, and just drop me a line and tell me that you heard me on the podcast. We'd love to give you a little discount for that.
Love it. Well, Crystal, thanks again for coming on. And thanks everybody for watching the Big Roofs podcast.
Bye.